Good morning. This is the last program for the spring season, so I appreciate the help from Blake and the J.C. Ralston Arboretum for co-sponsoring these programs with us this year. So it's always a pleasure to work with them. They've always been very, very kind and helpful to us. Our speaker today is a plantsman extraordinaire, Ozzie Johnson. Yes, you are, from Marietta, Georgia. He is here with Lisa Bartlett. If you haven't met her, the vivacious person sitting here on the front row, raise your hand so people can see you. Lisa, by the way, spoke to our chapter many years ago when we met at the Botanical Garden. Does anybody remember meeting over there? She spoke on container gardening, and we welcome her here today as well. So thank you both for coming. Ozzie has traveled extensively in China, Vietnam, and particularly in Japan, where he's made connections with Japanese plantspersons in searching for new ornamentals to make connections with U.S. gardeners. He has visited gardens, nurseries, and natural areas all over Japan, seeking to understand what new plants will grow here in the American Southeast. Ozzie has visited most of the islands in Japan to get an overview of the diversity of the plants that are in that country. A few of the introductions that he has made, and there have been a lot of them, is Mahonia Soft Caress, Hydrangea Big Daddy, and Begonia Dark Side of the Moon. I'm not sure if Tony helped him with some of those names or not. Ozzie has been a long-time volunteer at the Atlanta Botanic Garden and a garden designer and consultant in the Atlanta area. And he's also traveled with big-name contemporary plant collectors like Tony Avent, and also Elsa Liner there, and Frank, do you remember who joined us today? They were on a trip with Ozzie in 1998 with Paul Jones and Dan Hinckley and Jamaica Kincaid and other people. I'm not sure who else is on that trip. But so he's been around and enjoyed the trips with the people that has gone with him, I'm sure. His lecture today will focus on some of the plants he has seen and the nurseries he has visited over many years of his travel in the Far East. His topic today is shining a light on plant treasures in Japan. Please welcome Ozzie Johnson.
Okay, so it's great to be here today. And as you can see, my significant other, Lisa, is here to translate my type of English, but this institution here at J.C. Ralston Arboretum is hallowed in my mind, and J.C. Ralston, he's been an inspiration to me, and as Tony and Bobby Ward, I should mention, congratulations on the renewal and reprinting and updating of your biography of J.C. And I was honored by J.C. Attending in a round-trip drive. I don't know how long it was. I know it wasn't 24 hours to get here and back, but he honored me with a birthday card and a visit on my 50th. And I might note that Tony was able to honor me on my 80th, just last September, actually November. And I was so honored that he made the trip down. He's been an inspiration to me. We've had travels together, and actually that's the first edition. I haven't gotten word or print of the new one.
We haven't gotten our autographed copy yet.
Yeah. Here's a shot. I think this is China. I think in 96, Frank and Elsa, who is here. think they both were on that trip. I understand that Tony made the travel arrangements, and the GPS system was out that day and caught us in some compromising situations up there in the Zhongdian area. So I didn't get here easily. I was a political scientist by training at Georgia State University. I got a job in government for 7 years. My travels took me to Southeast Asia. Well, unfortunately, I didn't go to Japan at that time. And so I got to work in a lot of places to my craft, and a political science is not what I wanted to do when I went out on my career. So after I joined the Atlanta Botanical Garden, I took a job, got out of the service. Well, I joined to learn more about horticulture because I had taken a job in horticulture to be outside. That's what I wanted to do, be outside. I didn't know anything except learn how to dig a hole and plant a plant and blow off a driveway. But I was outside, and I grew to love it. But after a few years of cutting grass and blowing driveways, I wanted to learn a little more. So I decided to join a botanical garden, Atlanta Botanical Garden. They were tearing down the city greenhouses. I volunteered around 1984, I guess it was. I volunteered to work and learn at Atlanta Botanical Garden. So volunteerism is important for botanical gardens to get things done, as we know. My travels to Japan were enhanced when I started dating at that time a Japanese flight attendant. So I was able to travel and take trips as we got to know each other. And I traveled in Japan. I didn't know anything about horticulture, and I couldn't speak the language, and so it helped me to be dating a Japanese who could help me in my exploration of Japan. And I traveled extensively from Hokkaido to Yakushima Island, visiting gardens and getting acquainted with the plants of the gardens. But, I had no connections in Japan to the industry, horticultural industry. So what am I going to do? All I did was ask her to bring catalogs, nursery catalogs, so I could peruse them and study and gain the knowledge that I needed to be able to enhance my knowledge of these Japanese plants. I learned through the gardens of the extensive history of the Japanese over a thousand year history of Japanese horticulture in the temples and in the gardens of Japan, and learned about these plants that were located in these block prints of these plants. These are the plants of the Koten Inge, which are the treasured plants that we kind of search for today. And these these Cotinginge plants are black and white block print editions of the hierarchical plant setup of presentation to the emperors and contest between these horticulturalists of the era, plantsmen, and contest of a hierarchy, and every leaf shape and color and variation are written down, and explanation you see in Japanese, which it's hard to translate that ancient language. But here is a block print, and adjacent to it is one from the garden yesterday out here. The Daphne, you can see the garden forms that are variegated foliage, but you don't find many fasciated or twisted leafed on your visits to nurseries around town. Ardesias are widely seen in this Cotinginge hierarchy of plant treasures, additional leaf colors and sizes and shapes, and adjacent to that is a current cultivar found in Niigata with pink fruit out in my garden on my landscape. I found that the Binikujaku Ardesia crenata actually survives well. So the Cotinginge block print of a fused stem of a Nandina cultivar, and equivalent in my garden today is a red-berried fused stem Nandina cultivar. You may have this in the garden here.
No, we don't have any.
So come take cuttings on. I have a white fruited one and a red fruited one. Quite nice. Here's another Cotinginge shot of hepatica flowers, all different shapes and sizes that one would search for in local nurseries and collector that are in Japan that we have to discover. Also here is the prunus flowers, and on the stems above, the shapes and sizes and colors. Here is one prunus, a weeping peach, weeping contorted peach, and equivalent in a page off the Cotinginge, translated into actual this information. We can discern where it was located and the description of the flower and all. If I had a translator, we could probably take the address and search for a current day.
I don't know
Plant
if
of
he
that.
mentioned, but this was a block print from originally done in 1832, and this is a 1976 that was gifted to him by a nurseryman of these block prints, and that's where these come from.
So the only thing I had was these nursery catalogs. So I didn't have any contacts, and I didn't know how to start, but I saw the local plants that were available, through these mail order catalogs. They weren't mail order to the U.S. They were local establishments, and one on the right is Nihon Kaki catalog, and the one on the left is a Cairo N plant catalog. They have brick and mortar locations. Both of them are in Saitama Prefecture. Now here's just some shots from the local nurseries. They just, you can shop just like at, Home Depot. Scrolling by and selecting your plant. But you could also, have it mailed to you, a mail order catalog. And when I first started out, in the early 1980s, it was a strange and mysterious place, and there was no English signage, and it was a little bit difficult. So I queried my friends, and I learned there was a list of a certain Dr. Masato Yokoi, whom you see here on the right-hand side, and he was a illustrious hero of variegation, and he had a great collection of plants at his home. So that was, and this list was compiled by Barry Yinger when he was at the National Arboretum. And so, and he's most famous, and I'm grateful to him for touring me around the garden. I made the contact, and he generously said, would you like to take some cuttings? And this is where the Akuba craze without a label came from.
And many of these are here right now in Ralston.
So in turn, he very generously introduced me to my second influencer that gave me what the information and the friendship over a long period of time, many years. Anybody recognize the plant behind him botanically?
Who said it? Somebody, I thought I heard
They're
it.
whispering it. I can hear it.
That's Grenada Sky Pencil.
Ding, ding, ding. Barry, yes. This is one of the original plants of sky pencil.
Yeah, and he's not especially known for sky pencil in Japan, but everybody sells it in Japan and in Home Depot and here. But he is one of the foremost, or the foremost, plantsman in Japan, and he has fabulous collections. And I believe a brick and mortar garden based on Magnoliaceae, one of the largest collections. I think you've seen Denny Werner when he made his trip, Ted Stevens and the late Fred Hooks, standing and posing, and also, Shibamichi introduced so many plants and was so generous with Atlanta Botanical Garden. Amazing, and amazingly, when we first started traveling, nurserymen from Japan, few of which spoke English to translate them. So in turn, this is Masato Mikinori Ogisu. And he's the scholar of Japan and student of Koten Inge and block prints, and he's given me many plants. He was generous with the Atlanta Botanical Garden. He gave me Magnolia pseudocobus, scion wood, and I think that may be the first plants in the Southeast. It's a beautiful floppy white billowy flower. There's only one genotype, I think, of pseudocobus. It's not in the wild. And it's a very lovely plant and important plant in the magnolia family. This is the front cover from our garden, from the Magnolia Society in the 2021. A nursery of influence is a nursery at the foot of Mount Fuji in Gotemba. And this is Gotemba no En, and these are the Watanabe brothers. His family is 3 boys, and Mr. Watanabe is like 95 years old. So they carry forth all of the collections off of that mountain that he made, and further research, and it's a beautiful nursery to go to. Hydrangea Serrata Kogane Tsuruga is one of the yellow foliage that I'm attracted to. Yellow foliage hydrangeas. They introduced this one, and Elysium anisatum Fujino no Syriaku is a lovely variegated Elysium anisatum from them. So my quest is on the Koten Inge list. I'm sure is listed. This is a cutting from my bucket list of plant material to get from Japan. Anyone know what? It's a Styrax japonica. And I don't know, I guess you would call that contorted, right? This is a treasured plant. There are only 2 genotypes that we know of that exists in Japan today, and they're sacred plants. This was given to me by a Japanese arborist who cares for this particular one of the two plants, and he gave me a dead stem, and I brought it back without crushing it and all. But that's my and a pink. It's a contorted pink japonica. So other rhodias that we're looking for in Japan, they have the color range of collection of the color of the berry versus the leaf variations or variegations. So these are the rhodia that I think Mark showed this 1832 block print, and he did give a talk on Inge, and in preparation for that talk, he wanted to have a presentation like this, and I think he couldn't afford just the black plain pots in the correct shape, but these pots are, of course, they're ceramic pots and they're expensive. So other plants that I've come across is this black Ophiopogone that's tricolor. I'm sorry I didn't focus this shot. This dwarf Deutzia, I'm guessing this is a Gracilis type. This is in my garden, and I'm not sure whether Mark or Tony have taken cuttings on this, but it's lovely. It's been there. That's a small plant not over 2 foot tall, compact, a lovely Deutzia. My favorite is Chloranthus, is Japonicus, because of its shiny, dark foliage and little bottle brush white ginkgo biloba sensation at a Japanese nursery. That's about the most narrow, fastigiate plant I've seen of ginkgo biloba. Do you know whether sensation has been imported? Anybody heard of that availability? So a nursery had the opposite ginkgo cultivar. This is a variegated dwarf ball of color. It's in Senilicis, tricolor Senilicis, which are out in this garden. Aconitifolia is probably more ornamental for the gardening season in the summertime. The Ardesia's collection, this is from a nursery in Niigata, come in all sorts, all species. I couldn't tell you which species these are, but it's a selection of leaf shapes, colors, and berry colors, fruit colors. This is a nicely bright, variegated, probably Granada, hopefully, and misspelled, but this is this one is my quest to find a orange berried form of any Ardesia orange berry that I could afford, but I couldn't afford to purchase this one. Just an assortment of Fatsia, which are widely grown and very ornamental for the American market. The Dianthus, I think this to be Superbus. Anyone know nomenclature? They're lovely. They are nice, feminine flowers, jangly, but they have to be staked is the problem. They grow up too tall and get floppy. And maybe seed was available on that species on the seed. So this hepatica was the one plant that Denny Werner was most attracted to. He never, when he visited, he never spoke to the group about his love of any other plant other than this particular marginally variegated form. So the Aucuba, this is Aucuba chinensis, a male flowering form. And this is open pollinated, but I've never gotten any kind of cross hybridization with the chinensis, the big leaf chinensis. So you know this is Nakafu or Aucuba, which is a lovely collector plant. I took a picture of it yesterday out in the garden here. I find that particular one quite attractive. I like to collect. I like to collect features like this in many species of plants and cultivars that have this white feature. New growth is white. I love that. So this one was from Dr. Yokoi's backyard. Mellow mushroom is a temporary maybe name for it, but Tony is offering it now. And I'm not sure the market, but this is a twisted, contorted, and I think it was weeping form of Aucuba japonica. This is a nice variegated and early white growth, lovely Quercus maricinifolia. I think it's offered now. Cornus, variegated cornus is quite popular, and there are many nurseries that grow variegated plants. So this is a variegated plant. This is a fall color on another evergreen cornus. This is a nursery. One plant of Styrax obacea with I don't know what you feel about variegations, but variegated Styrax obacea. Styrax obacea is a great street tree. So this is an assortment of hydrangeas that I caught pictures of in nurseries. In climbing hydrangea, Ted Stevens offers this. Another double hydrangea, nice pink double.
Of course. I think it's
And I don't know who named it, but we think it's corsage. And that's now carried by Hydrangeas Plus. This is Woodwardia orientalis crispa. Woodwardia is a favorite fern of mine. From Mr. Yamaguchi, plantsman, I was gifted this Stewardia monadelpha daruma. This is its flower size. This has been in the ground for over 15 years and never been pruned in my garden. There's the flower. Acerums, we won't dwell on acerums. They're available from Tony. There are many, many, many cultivars. This is a Morris Alba cultivar with marginal variegation and somewhat compact nature. Nice in fruit, ornamental plant. Pyracantha, probably dwarfed by a bonsai expert. Like the color. Another Loropetalum, but I like this color from Mrs. Suzuki Nursery. The opposite this this is a tiny leaf Loropetalum cultivar being grafted. Everything's grafted in Japan. The Stellium cultivar that has the newly emerged white. A Nagi cultivar. So this is my question to Mike. This is from a nursery, smaller nursery in Japan. I was impressed by the flower color, the leaf color, and the fact that it's a compact form. Edgeworthia, variegated leaf, Edgeworthia. I'm not sure about this one. This is a Mahonia at a nursery, but a yellow foliaged Mahonia cultivar, probably in the Eurybracteata range, Eurybracteata. And this is species Mahonia. Not quite hardy here, I don't think, and pretty rare. The eyelash leaf edge Mahonia. Here it is in a lax form. I guess this is a hybrid seedling of Leptodonta also. This is the fall-winter color and of the edge of Eurybracteata. They call it Narahira. That's their common name for Eurybracteata. The colored foliage that I'd like to see, I don't prefer the streaks and all, but the flowers can be fragrant or colored, as you see. Most of them are yellow. This is Soft Caress that I was gifted a handful of seed, and by a Japanese nurseryman, and I made a selection of this, and I think I was most successful because I don't think anybody had introduced a Eurybracteata to the commercial market on a large scale, and we were lucky to get the name out there first. And it is loved by rodent population of giant rodent down to small chipmunks. This is seedlings. I have one just released. It's a silver caress cultivar. Lots of growers, including Tony, are working with the silver foliage, and I'm not sure whether Dan Hinckley has the original that I knew of was the Indianola silver, and so that's I think they're all based on maybe that particular cultivar. So this, talk a little bit about what I've done with breeding after Soft Caress. Soft Caress is it's all plants introduction that I made at that time in 2004, but I did other things when they stopped selling breeding and just went to the plants that were currently being produced. They didn't do any more breeding, so I took my breeding to my house, and that's where my backyard breeding began. And so these are a couple of begonias that I bred, a flirty girl. It was put out on the market. It didn't last very long, but because I was shooting for possible hardiness, so that was my goal. So this is a collection from Vietnam that I made of Pseudoedilus. I don't know whether Tony's agree on that, but I collected this in northern Vietnam, right next to the China border, and it has a large leaf, and I grew it out in my garden, and just it was open pollinated. That's how my backyard breeding is operating this day and age. So my first seed pod, I germinated seed from this Pseudoedilus green leaf form that was I got in Vietnam, and this is some of the seedlings I grew out that I based the lunar series on. I think you can, I don't have a very good measurement of the leaf size, but that leaf of the seedling on the left is 17 inches. I bred them for hardiness, but I think they are serve well even if they're not hardy as a summer foliage plant, backdrop or whatever, however you want to use begonias. The Sterling Moon was the first patent I applied for, named the Lunar Series. This is Harvest Moon. This is Neon Moon. So this is some other of my breeding from Ryusen, the weeping, strict weeping Japanese maple. It's very, very stable. If anybody's tried to get anything from it. And a couple of nurseries, Mr. Maple and a friend in Belgium have both, Netherlands, have come up with forms of yellow forms of the weeping, but they all, including my entry right here in front of Reusen, that's the first seedling that I ever had that had different leaf color. I had dwarfs and uprights and all of that, but the leaf form has remained the same. But these yellow seedlings seem to be spring yellow. I have had another seedling is a nice variegated form of Reusen. It's a little spacey about the green and taking over for the variegation, and so and it's hard to propagate, hard to graft for me. I'm attracted to yellow-leafed hydrangeas. I did introduce one called Lemon Daddy, and this is my attempt at breeding a more floriferous Lemon Daddy. But I can't compete with proven winners and all the other big guys. So my the flower doesn't repeat, but it's a great plant. I like it. I wish somebody would pick it up. Other seedlings. This is a selection for a lace cap, yellow leaf lace cap. This is one I call Sunrise Sunset. It maintains the red on the edge. This is the flower. I like it a lot. This is my darkest color flower on a yellow so far. This is one I introduced called Summer Frost. It's a quick and easy flower arrangement with 3 stems.
And no blooms.
Yeah, and no flower. And open pollinated Podocarpus maki seedlings in my dry stream bed. So Mark stole a couple of my seedlings and planted them out to see what happens. I kind of like the seedling right there. That's fastigiate and compact. We don't have him here to comment on that, but
Was that Sand Hill? He asked if that was Sand Hill Research Station.
no, I'm not sure where he's keeping those. But the reason I went on my last trip in November to Japan was to renew. I hadn't traveled since COVID, and I wanted to renew my friendships with the industry and talk to them. This is a group of nurserymen there in Saitama province that was concerned about these old elder statesmen like Dr. Yokoi and like Mr. Shibamichi, that they're losing the history. And so one of the problems is when we go to Japan and bring these plants back, that we can't understand what they say or read the language, understand the language, and we get confused about the name. The name is important, the accurate name, and this group was getting information by interviewing these greats of history of the horticulture. They listed these. They took the testimony of these people, and they are compiling lists of plants that they produced and named or didn't name, because when we brought many of these plants are purchased at small growers and collectors and enthusiasts, and they were compiling this history, and I wanted to take a no name. When Ted Stevens brings them back, I wanted to compile a no name plant and get a name by this group is collecting the information to have an accurate account of the name of the plant.
Is that Begonia JC across from you with the white hair?
No, yes, at the end. And Shibamichi, Mr. Shibamichi is right there. He's in his mid-90s now, and they're losing their memory like I am. So this information about the greats is going to be lost. So this is my garden, a few garden shots from my garden. On the left is the Zelkova Musashino, a treasured plant from Japan. And so this is Cercidophyllum japonicum pendulum. The backside of my garden, where we have tried to incorporate the plants I've brought back, and the backyard, the history. I love ferns. I love the sticky things. Mm-hmm. This is the front yard. In the fall, and the border in the back, and the steps up, and spring, May photo. Now this is currently that project. This is the first project of that I have started since COVID. Well, see, this is 5 years ago around COVID. My work of setting. It's not Stonehenge, but.
Easter Island.
It took me 5 years to do this through COVID, and this is another view. So in 3 days total, Lisa was able to pretty much complete that, and we're looking forward to.
Shopping at Tony's.
Yeah. So, thank you.